Hearty welcome to all the participants for today's half-day women-centric program, especially to all my beloved women chartered accountants, my colleagues in MC. We have with us CA Manjunath Halur, Secretary. We have CA Kavita, Treasurer. Hearty welcome to all of you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes, we're able to hear you.
Members, March month is all about Women's Day celebration, women empowerment. But my dream is the celebration should be 365 days, each and every day. I believe women's equal participation and leadership in all the sphere of life is very, very essential for our nation's growth. And also we are the fundamental force of leadership, growth and promotion of lasting peace. So today we have such eminent leader with us, Dr. B R Mamtha ma'am, Inspector General of Registration and Commissioner of Stamps, GPR Election, Government of Karnataka with us. First of all, thank you so much, ma'am, for accepting our invitation and being part of today's program. Hearty welcome to you on behalf of entire Managing Committee of Bangalore branch, ma'am. Hearty welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a great pleasure to be amidst all of you.
I also welcome CA Sarita Agarwal from Kolkata in her absentia. She will be also presenting on topic automate your practice using Google Workspace. I wholeheartedly thank CA Preeti Paras Selva, our Chairman of Women and Young Members Empowerment Committee, and CA Abhay Kumar Chatej, Vice Chairman of Women and Young Members Empowerment Committee. I request our Secretary to kindly, take it forward.
Thank you, Chairperson, ma'am. Respected members, we have with us a very eminent personality, Dr. Mamtha B R Madam, who is IAS officer. I am honored to introduce Dr. Mamtha Madam to the August gathering here. Dr. Mamtha B R is an IAS officer, presently working as Inspector General of Registration and Commissioner of Stamps at Bangalore. Presently serving the Department of Stamps and Registration from 3rd of March 2022 till date. And the departments served in last 5 years and positions held: Revenue Department as Inspector General of Registration and Commissioner of Stamps, DPAR as Joint Director General Administrative Training Institute, DPAR E-Governance, Additional Mission Direction, Sakala Mission, Revenue Department, Managing Director, KPLC, Industries and Commerce, Managing Director, My Sugar Limited, Skill Development Department, Mission Director, NRLM, DPR Elections, Additional Chief Electoral Officer, Deputy Commissioner, Ramnagar. With this brief introduction, I present before you Dr. Mamtha B R. And I have a privilege in introducing another speaker of the day, CA Sarita Agarwal, also in her absentia. Sarita Agarwal is a chartered accountant, is an automation enthusiast. Sarita is a fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and has an honors degree in finance and accounting from the University of Calcutta. She is an expert in both Indian and US accounting and has been leading the US operations of Cloud Info Solutions, a company that provides bookkeeping and accounting services for more than 300 clients in US over last 15 plus years. Sarita is extremely tech savvy and is passionate about sharing her experiences in accounting technology. She is a certified QuickBooks Pro advisor and has trained 500 plus chartered accountants on software such as QuickBooks Online and Advanced Excel for last decade. Sarita has automated several hundreds of man-hours of operations in her company and still continuously explores how she can leverage technology to automate routine tasks so that humans can focus on things that matter. Being ever inquisitive, she enjoys exploring, learning, and training others in new business software. With this brief introduction, I again present before you CA Sarita Agarwal, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
So I now request Mamtha ma'am to kindly address the gathering.
Good afternoon to all of you once again. And as Mrs. Divya just now said, Women's Day should be celebrated 365 days. But I would say womanhood itself is a point of celebration. Womanhood is a celebration itself. So every minute, every second, it's a big celebration. So I don't. I agree with you totally about this. So there's a lot of a woman has come a long way. There is a sea of change. From the time, there's a beautiful advertisement. I don't know how many of you, I don't know this generation, how many of you have seen this ad. There used to be a cigarette called Victoria Slims. It was meant to be a woman's cigarette. There was an advertisement that used to come out in the magazines many years ago, in the 70s, I think, or 70s or 60s. It used to say, they used to show a Victorian woman with her flouncy gown, was hiding behind probably her gown and trying to smoke a cigarette. Then they show a lady smoking openly. And the caption was, "You've come a long way, baby." That was the ad for the Victoria Slim cigarette. So there's been a sea of change. From the time when women didn't have even opportunity to vote in Europe, I think we got it much earlier than European women, the right to vote. They had to fight for the right to vote. And even in America, they had to, the universal adult franchise came in, inclusion of women came in much later. So there is a lot of things that have happened. Now we are sitting in the 20th century, and we see when somebody comes and tells us, you are a, there's a difference between the genders. Some of us who grew up with no discrimination will not believe it. We will just laugh and say this is not true. But when you look deeper into in spite of coming a long way, when you look a little deeper in, when you sit down to analyze, one thing becomes very, very evident. In spite of everything that we have done, we probably are one of the first few countries to give a woman prime minister. America is yet to see a woman prime minister. So that way we have come a long way, very long way. But even then, when you look down and sit down and analyze, you'll realize things are not the same for a woman and a man when it comes to taking on leadership of anything. So leadership for a woman has to she has to prove herself, and it is a constant journey of seeking approval, whereas for a man it is very obvious. So there are a lot of issues, but when you analyze both the genders, I would say it is very a woman will make a better leader than a man, basically because she looks at everything in a 365 degree. She's a multitasker. So being that, she looks at every small things that will she's a perfectionist to a large extent. She tries to, for her, everything, and it is it's not just her, for the whole society. When a woman takes on leadership, they expect to see something perfectly done. Whatever small mistakes are done are highlighted and said, this woman cannot handle it. Women cannot handle this. Let's take our own offices. people are much happier handling a male boss, because a woman boss looks at details. For her, there is an eye for every detail. She is more of a bigger taskmaster than a male boss. And especially women ourselves, we women ourselves would prefer a woman boss, because a man will not, what do you say? A man will not go into the details, and also will also shy away or will refrain from making any comments to a woman. Whereas we will be very forthcoming and we will be able to say straight on their face, being of the same gender. So a woman will prefer a male boss than a women boss. A woman boss is too punctual, too much of eye for detail, too much of, will not give you any liberties. In the sense, if you say, I'd like to go home early, she will probably say, yes, even I am a woman. I need to go home early, but I'm sitting down to complete the task. You better stay back and complete your task. So those kind of leniences or, those kind of things are not done. So when we talk about leadership, today we have gone through, there are many theories of leadership which have evolved. So today we are looking at the latest that I can understand, that that has come up now, is called adaptive leadership. So earlier, the leadership style or a leadership thing used to be that, I'm the boss, you better listen to me. Okay, I am the leader here, just follow me. But today it's not like that. It is a more of a democratical, mostly because you are a woman. A woman leader looks at everything in a democratic way. So she asks opinions. So in the adaptive leadership, the style is that, you adapt to the situation, you show those leadership skills, or you exhibit those leadership skills that is necessary for the situation. I have a small presentation. I will be just sharing that presentation, and I will, 1 minute. I think you've given me permission to share, right? Yeah. Can everybody see this? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, we can see.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, like I won't go into this. The topic is an extremely interesting topic. So I'll just go into the various issues. Now I'm just going to tell you a small little story of a group of workers who have sat down to a task of making a dense jungle, a road in a dense jungle, in a remote island. They want to get to the coast where they can prepare a port. So the leaders organize their teams, their labor into small units, and they start monitoring. They distribute the work, they distribute the assets, they make a excellent progress. They continue to monitor it, they evaluate the progress, they do everything. All the management principles are used here, make adjustments. They ensure that the progress is maintained and an efficiency is increased whenever possible. However, suddenly one person one day, he just climbs up the tree, he surveys it from the top, and he says, he shouts to the group which is below, we are going the wrong way. So this is a small story that I've adapted from Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, where he says management is doing things the right way. That means, like when they were making this road, they had adopted all the principles of management, how much of labor should be, how many people they require, how much of assets, the tools they require, the map that they had to draw, everything was done in the right way. That was the management. Management is doing the things right, whereas leadership is doing the right things. So climbing the tree and looking at the way should have been the first thing to do. So the leader, the person who emerges as the leader is the one who climbs on top. He looks at the whole situation and he gives a proper direction. So leadership is not is about enabling group of people to do the right thing, or empowering a group of people to do the right thing. So there are different styles of leadership. Somebody would be a kind of leader who takes a democratic stand, somebody else will take an autocratic stand, somebody else will go in for, there's something called situational leadership, there's something called adaptive leadership. Then earlier in government, we used to have something called staff and line management. So what we used to do is, I'm the boss, I'm giving you a direction, you just have to follow it. So there are people, and whatever the boss said, they just followed it. However, today we have a different method that we follow. It's called mentoring. So we mentor people to do the right thing at the right time to accomplish a task or a mission. So you look at the various factors that affect this style. When you go to a situation and you go to an office, you look at different things and you say, okay, this is not the way it is. These are the factors which affect the style. So then you change the style of leadership. Then, you go in with a different kind of. So leadership, I won't go into theories of leadership. This is more for a academic class. However, I'll just go in with little stories that will make it more interesting. So when you try to do something in a democratic way and it doesn't work, then you adopt an autocratic principle and you say, look, I'm directing you to do this way, do it. No questions asked. Or sometimes in some situations, you give in a free rein. I told you mentoring, in some places, you mentor. You be the nice mentor that they can depend on. Help them handle every other situation. Make it easy for him to concentrate on his work so that he completes his task and achieves the mission. So there are different types of leaders, I said. Autocratic, you take your own decision. I won't go into too much of details. The leader is the most important person. There's a lot of dependency. Then so in the democratic, you take everybody consultative. It's consultative. It is persuasive. You take everybody's opinion. So in democratic, you help motivate. Take involvement of people. You make people feel and take ownership of the firms and its ideas. Improves the sharing of ideas and experience within the business. It can delay sometimes the decision process because you will have to take everybody's opinion. In laissez-faire or in the free rein leadership is shared by everybody. This is mostly, it works in situation in IT companies and in corporate. This kind of leadership helps. It's very highly motivational. You just give them a task and their deadline and allow them to continue and do their work. Very little monitoring is there because anyway, they have to complete the task on a particular day. So there's, but it leads to a lot of issues of coordination. Sometimes there can be lack of direction. It depends a lot on teamwork, interpersonal relations. In paternalistic, it is like a father figure or a mentor who, you allow the mentor to take all your decisions. So there again, the dependency is too much on the paternal leader. So in the leadership issue, a leader is one who emerges when there's a problem, finds a solution. He sells the idea of the solution. Then he sort of firefights or negotiates and brings down resentment and alienation. Then he takes on the takes on the task of getting the job done through the various groups of people that are, which we would like to call as the team. So in a atmosphere where there is leadership is necessary, like for example, let us just do a small comparison of leadership. When you look at you can look at two different kinds of leader. You can look at I don't know how many of you have heard of there are two different queens. I'm talking about Rani Chennamma and I'm talking about Rani Chenna Bhaira Devi. I don't want to go stray away from Karnataka and our own local situation. There was a queen called Rani Chenna Bhaira Devi. Then there was another queen called Kittur Rani Chennamma. The two different styles of leadership that you can see. In case of, I don't know if anybody, most of you don't seem to, I think not many people know about Rani Chenna Bhaira Devi. So I'll just explain a little bit about her. She was the queen of Gersopa. She was from a part of the Saluva dynasty. She's probably the only woman ruler who has ruled continuously for 54 years. Apart from Queen Victoria and Queen Elizabeth, she is probably the only woman leader who has ruled continuously for 54 years. And what was hers? What did she do? When she took over, she lost her husband at a very young age. She had to take over the reins of the kingdom. She realized that Kersopa is you must have heard of Bhatkala. Kersopa comes close to that place, Kersopa, Bhatkala. So she had, Bhatkala was a part of her kingdom. So she realized that for the kingdom to be prosperous, she requires money. And those days, they require an army. She was constantly troubled by Portuguese, by the Keladi kings. She was constantly troubled by Bilagi kingdom. So she needed an army. She needed to give good administration. She needed the money. Her coffers had to be filled. The one thing that she realized is that the countries like Europe were looking for spices. And Portuguese came to India only looking for spices. So she built a strong army, took the support of the Bahamanis. She has the reputation of having defeated Portuguese in two major wars. So much so that the Portuguese chief in India writes to the Portuguese chief, king, saying that there is this queen, he writes her name and says she's the black pepper queen, and we have to keep her in a diplomatic way. She has a very strong army and she's a very aggressive queen. We need to have maintain diplomatic relationships with her if we want to survive in India. So that was her reputation. So very early, she decides business is where she should control. She should control the business. So the entire trade on Bhatkala port was controlled by her. She, probably for the very first time in the country, she took over the reins. She started giving royal grants for running business on the port, and she herself had she would give a fair price for the pepper. She supported the farmers, and spices were brought to Bhatkala. The fort, there used to be a huge storing facility. They were stored there, and they were then shipped. With the money that she got, she built a good army. She gave excellent protection to her people, including all the Saraswat community, which fled from Goa to avoid persecution by the Portuguese. She supported them and gave them things. She brought in people from different trades and gave them support. And she built a very beautiful city. And so she took on that leadership. She realized what was important. She went in the right direction. She managed the business. So that her situational leadership was such that she had an army of more than 13,000 women, all women army. So she put women also in the army, equal rights to women. Women were in literature, women were in all the fields. She realized very early the potential of women, and she used it to the best benefit. Now let's take Kittur Rani Chennamma. Kittur Rani Chennamma, okay, she was pushed into leadership with the loss of her husband, just like Rani Chennamma Devi. She got into a confrontation with the British. She defied the British. She did not look at her resources. Although she was a very valiant leader on the battlefield, that strategic, in terms of strategic leadership, providing strategic guidance was not there. We may be judging her very harshly because we don't really know what the situation was, but I'm just looking at it and analyzing it. It's a postmortem. So what I'm trying to say is, a leader should be like, there's a book called The Prince. So in that book, it says a leader should have the courage of a lion and the cunning of a fox. So if you want to take on the leadership, you should be as courageous as a lion and as crafty as a fox if need be. So for any kind of, now we are in a situation where we are running organizations. We are taking leadership of organizations of our own offices. So it's very fast paced. There's continuous economic and social change. So we have to adapt, and we should be flexible enough to survive. So most important thing is managing the human resources. Managing a team. Instead of having a strong team of 200, if you have a team of 200 which is not strong enough, having a team of just 20 people who you handpicked and trained and mentored will do a lot more work than 200 people who are going in 200 different directions. So you should handle the human resources is the most important thing. So a leader should also be aware of how change impacts these workers. So change management is a very, very important thing, and we usually don't give too much importance to change management. Series of self-esteem states. In Adams and Garrett, there is this book called Transition. I'm just giving you some books also to read. Understanding and managing personal change. Then there's this School Leadership for 21st Century. These are books which you should try to read. There's another book which I love to recommend. It's called Yugantha. I feel any leader should read this book called Yugantha by Airavati Karve. It's a very simple, maybe 100 pages book, a small book, very small book. It's in form of stories. And it's not even a story which we are not familiar with. She takes every character of Mahabharata and does a socio-anthropological analysis of every character. And there's a lot of learning that comes from each of these characters. So we have to understand the kind of people we are working with, and we have to manage the change. Manage people to be able to manage change. You can't try to push. You should understand what everybody is capable of. First of all, a leader should understand their own capabilities. A leader should understand his or her. He should be able to do a SWOT on herself or himself to be able to see what are the weaknesses, what are the opportunities that person has, what are the strengths, and what are the opportunities that are available, and work on those. In addition, do a SWOT on everybody, because you are building a team. You are building a workforce. You're building a team. So when you're building a team, you should be able to put together people who have, you should be able to put together people who are able to complement each other, who are able to complement each other's characters, each other's strengths and weaknesses. So there is a seamless strength in the company, which will be able to take on and accomplish tasks. So if you can weave together people in such a way that their strengths and weaknesses coordinate and cooperate, then you will have a very good team. So when, as I told you just now, change leadership is very, very important. So change leadership is what, as soon as you take over in any office, you have to very cautiously tread and manage the change. Sometimes when you should be able to, before going into any office, you should be able to know, as your, as CAs, chartered accountants, you should be able to know the organization you are going to be handling, and then also know the kind of leader that is there in the organization. So when, for us as bureaucrats, when we go and take over, before going into that office, we understand that office. We even take briefing from previous people who were there, understand the strength and character, the weaknesses of our people, so that we, suppose some offices we go with a very aggressively, and we start probably finding fault and create a sense of fear. In some offices we try to go with the flow and then change the path. In some offices we go with whatever, in a kind of a mentoring mode or democratic mood. So we should understand where we are going and what we are going to do, what is that we have to accomplish, where we need to accomplish, and why we need to accomplish before we take on any kind of office. So an individual who begins to work, you have to find, there is a self-esteem, and any kind of change takes time. So you work on this self-esteem. Sometimes it may dip. you should understand. So each person understands change in a different way and builds it with a and you have to be able to build a sense of confidence, and then with that confidence that you have built with people, you'll have to work on that. So as leaders, we see the situation, we see what work can be done there, what changes need to be brought in there. Sometimes things are going on perfectly. I don't know whether you've noticed, some people go there and they create a mess. That is because people think wherever they go, they need to change it and change the organization to their style of functioning. Some leaders go to a place and they look at themselves and say they change to suit the organization. So I don't I don't recommend both these. I would recommend a middle path. First of all, able to understand what changes you need to, there is a necessary for change at all, and how the people will be able to see the change, and whether whether they'll be able to, what kind of people, whether they'll be able to take up any change, and then take it forward. So what are the kind of changes? So there are different theories of leadership. Again, I said I won't go into it. There is something called transformational theory of leadership, behavioral theory of leadership, contingency theory of leadership, invitational theory of leadership, and transactional. So I'll give you a scenario. In the 90s, when computers was just coming into India, when all organizations were working on computers, there were three different kinds of people in an organization. Those that came much before computerization, the older leaders who were used to doing things without the help of a computer, who probably were very perfect in rules and regulations and all that. Then there is a newly aged leadership with very good in computers. Then there is one more group which is good in their the old school, but are able to easily adapt to computerization. Old school which cannot adapt to computerization. So when I had to take over an office like this, what did I do? I thought the best way to do, I just studied the situation. There is a group of managers who will not do anything on computers. Hundreds of times, even if you request them, they will not do anything. There's this group which is very easily adopt. They are also old school, but they're easily able to adopt. Then there's a new age leadership who think that just because I know computerization, I'm able to work on digitally, and I'm digital savvy, and these people are not. I'm better off than them. So there's a little bit of an arrogance there. And this old team thinks that what do these new people know? We know everything in and out, and we can do everything with our head. And what do these new people, new age leaders, what will they be able to do? So what I did is I tried to put in every team both the kinds, all the three kinds. And while doing that, I made a list of people. I said, those that could change behaviorally, who have a potential, those that are able to transform, those that are need a little bit of a whack. So put them together, and out of that, I pulled out a leader, one who was old school but could adapt. And every team I made the old school who could adapt, because the old school had the seniority, and the new, nobody could deny and say there is no leadership here, and all the seniors have been put down and some junior has been made the manager and things like that. So the old school who could adapt, in every team I had those, plus an old school person who could not adapt, plus I had a new age leader. put them together, and we were able to, I built a strong team, and we worked this kind of a team. I was able to work with three chief ministers. I was the media secretary for three chief ministers and governor of Karnataka with the same team. And that was, even today people say that was the best team and that the chief minister's office has ever seen. So what are the traits? I will end my thing in another 5-10 minutes, and then I'll open it out for questions. I think it is still 6:30, so I'll open out for questions. If I'm going out on time, somebody can just remind me. One, he or she should have a personality, should have a personal presence. It's not always necessary to raise your voice. Sometimes you can speak softly, but you can speak your truth very softly. Does it require a personality? Yes. A personality that is not flashy, but that which everybody can identify with. I don't know whether you've seen this movie, Katha. There used to be a movie called Katha years ago. And there is this lady there. I think Deepthi Nawal was the heroine. And she, there is this neighbor, next door neighbor, local girl kind of a thing. And she is able to take on many, even more than that, there's this Mirch Masala. I don't know how many of you have seen this movie, Mirch Masala. So a person who is very quiet, very sober, very shy, suddenly in the adversity takes on a personality, such a personality change. She takes on leadership and defays I think the British chief of that area. She defays when he tries to get pally, or he tries to make a pass at one of the women there. So yes, there is a personality necessary. That personality need not be flamboyant. That personality need not be a very obvious, and you need not wear your personality on your sleeve. You should understand when you need to dominate and when you need to stay out. Charisma, yes, something that everybody can identify with. Self-confidence, definitely. Achievements, not necessary. You can be a first-time leader. You need not have a big list of achievements to talk about. You should have the ability to formulate a clear vision. Yes, a clear vision, and also not just the ability to formulate a clear vision and strategy, but also to be able to convince, negotiate with your team, and to be able to convince your team to work. Is it gender? Now let's get into gender. Are these traits which I just now told you inherently gender biased? No. These are questions I'm throwing open to you. So all these characteristics which I told you, will they produce good leaders? Is leadership just more than just bringing about change? So are these characteristics inbred, or is it something that you acquire? Can anybody be a leader, or you should be a born leader? I think there's nothing like a born leader. No inherent characteristics. Situation makes leaders out of people. These characters are already there inside. So a woman has all these characters naturally inside. So she has all these characteristics which can make her a good leader. So I feel leadership is behavioral. It can be trained, and you can focus on doing things right. So I feel it is not necessary for leaders to be, having all these characteristics. These characteristics can actually be cultivated. So people can be trained to be leaders. See, something nowadays people are telling you there is no need for an IQ for a leader. A leader needs to have the EQ, the emotional quotient. Emotional quotient is something that you can develop over the years. It can be trained. You can be trained to have emotional quotient. It is also necessary, they say, it's not just IQ, it should be IQ of another kind. That is, integrity quotient should also be. The integrity quotient and emotional quotient is enough. If you can develop both these integrity qualities, quotients, you can make a good leader. So leadership is all about maintenance of relationship. It's a process-oriented thing. It is not. It is not just. It is not task-oriented. It is a process-oriented thing. And so, when you go into other theories, they talk about people being flexible. You should have fixed characteristics. So your theories of leadership or whatever that is. 1 minute. Let me know. So these are all the characteristics, and these are all characteristics which you can adopt over the years, and leadership which affect the style, that risk, the various risk-taking factors, how much of risk you can take, the kind of organization you are in, what is the necessity for change. I said some officers go and try to change everything to their style. And how are you so sure your way of functioning is the best? There can always be a leader is somebody who can keep learning on the job. Maybe the organization was running perfectly okay, and you went and made that change, and you went and made that, the mess that was created. So is there a necessity for change? What is the nature of the task? What is the organizational culture? How do I understand, and whether I need to adapt, or do I need to get the organization to adapt to my style? All this you will have to think about and change your, and styles are something that you need to change. You have a style, of course, but over the years, when you go to a place, you have to adapt, and it depends on many factors. That is, as I told you, risk-taking ability, the kind of business, whether there is a necessity for change. There shouldn't be just change for the sake of change. Then the organizational culture, nammal kannadadalli ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ಹುಟ್ಟುಗುಣ ಸುಟ್ರು ಹೋಗಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ, ಅದು ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಕೂಡ ಅನ್ವಯಿಸುತ್ತೆ. There are some things which are there in the organization, the culture, and if you try to radically change that culture, you may end up with in a mess. And also the task or the kind of direction or the structure that is necessary. So these are all the things that I'd like to tell you, and I feel that today, if you look at all these various factors, I feel women have a lot of ability, or I could say women have leadership inherent in them. All they need to do is get into a situation which needs the kind of character, your leadership. And when you get into a tight spot, that those leadership characters will come out. I'm just giving you an example. Let us assume you are a mother. Your little child has slipped into a defunct borewell. I'm sure you're not going to sit there quietly. You will call people. You will try to organize people. You will try to soothe the child. You will try to get the child out. So those characteristics inherently in you, when you're running a home and managing a budget, managing the people, ensuring people have a 3-meal square meal, this is inherent in you. All you need to do is get into a challenging situation, and your leadership traits will come out. If I think with this, I rest my case. And I request all of you, if you have any questions, I can address the questions. So I assume you have no questions, or I'm not clear.
There are no questions as such, ma'am, in chat box.
In the chat also, I don't see anything.
Yes, ma'am.
So, so leadership is a very complex thing, actually. And today, the new theory of leadership is all about adaptive leadership. And that is when you go to a situation, as I was just telling you, every situation brings in, it's saying sitting on the balcony, going on to the top of the balcony is one of the principles of adaptive leadership. That is, if there is an issue and that issue requires a leadership, or if this situation and requires a leadership, it says step back, go on to a balcony, go on to a podium, look down. Like just now I told you this man who climbed the tree and saw that it was going in the wrong the road was going in the wrong direction. So get onto the tree, look down, understand the situation. Then you'll be able to give those little directions for people to take whatever action. So leadership is about understanding when you have to step back, when you have to get into. One of the things I have found with women is women somehow go head straight into the problem. If there is a problem, they head straight into the problem and they become a part of the problem, and so engrossed in entangled in the problem that they don't that pragmatic analysis doesn't happen most situations. That is because they say women in terms of emotional quotient, around 70%, they have 70% emotional quotient, and what is required for a good leader is 100%. That 100% is something that we have to work on. And another thing I've noticed, like we go back, is that if you have ever been in a situation of when people are in a tug of war kind of a situation, when somebody is trying to the people are pulling at opposite directions, the direction that it's not always the strongest who are able to pull the rest of them. It is the people who are able to pace themselves. They give up. They give. You pull. You don't pull all the time. You let go for a little while, then you tug back. So it is tug of war is a strategy. Similarly, leadership is a strategy. How much you give in, when you give in, how much you hold back, and when you hold back. And those are the traits that are best suited for a woman, because she runs a family. And running a family, you use all the strategies. Like everything that you will use in an office, every single thing you do, you have a you manage the money, you manage the people. Sometimes you have to cajole, sometimes you have to be lose your cool. You have to reprimand. Sometimes it's the stick, sometimes it's the reward, sometimes it is the. So there is no one single size fit all kind of a strategy in leadership. Okay, now I'm sure since there are no questions, I'll just tell you how it is to work in the government. The kind of leadership role that we need to play in the government. We need in government, earlier, as I told you, it's a bureaucratic setup. It's not a flexible organization. It's an inflexible, rigid organization. So in a rigid organization, the style of leadership also used to be rigid. Today, that cannot be done. That is something we cannot do. We have to understand the person and provide that kind of leadership. So each and every person, each and every organization we go to, we have to understand the organization and each and every person that is working for you, working with you, and assign those jobs for those people. It's if you try to put a square pole in a round hole, you will end up not being able to make that rod fit in that hole. So assigning tasks while giving directions, you have to give. You cannot make a crow sing like a nightingale. So you have to understand nightingale can sing, whereas the crow can be a very good source of strength to fly. You should also understand that it can be a good scavenger. It can be somebody else can be good. Somebody is very good in firefighting. Somebody else is very good in managing tasks, managing people. There are some people who will create problems among people by their talk. So where you should use the grapevine, I don't know how many of you know the strategy of using the grapevine. It's called feeding the grapevine. Sometimes you need to know what is the feedback or what is happening within the organization. So you just want to know, there are something called cliques, the groups within the organization, and you need to know the groups and what is the action and what is the kind of reaction that you will get for a particular thing. So sometimes we just introduce a small communication, something which is may not be true, but we want to, like, I want to introduce biometric system in the office. This is just something that you tell one person. Then you observe. That's called feeding the grapevine. So you observe and see what is the kind of reaction you're getting from various people. So then number one, trace and see where all it goes, like the Chinese whisper, where all it goes, what are the kind of distortions. And then how the organization is connected, what is the relationship issues in the organization, what is the kind of who are the leaders, who are the opinion leaders in the organization, who are the followers. So these are all things that you understand about the culture and about the culture of the organization. And then you see what is going right, what is not going right, what is that you need to do, what are the targets that you have, and then you sort of given those directions. This is how the adaptive leadership works. So you just take the back seat, go on the balcony, understand, get down, how much you should mingle in the crowd, how much you should stay out of the crowd. Don't become the problem. Analyze the problem, but don't become the problem. You should stand out of the problem and analyze the problem. So this is some strategies that I can. But however, that glass ceiling is still there. The glass ceiling, we have today a woman chief secretary. She's probably the most hardworking, most honest, sincere, hardworking person. That thing, but she has to work far more harder than any other male counterpart had to, just to prove that she can be a good chief secretary. So that kind of a thing still exists, and that will exist for a long, very, very long time to go. And in a way, it is good because it makes you prepared. Because if you if things come easy, you'll never be able to. You'll not appreciate it. So if things don't come easy, we probably will appreciate it more. So I think the hard work is worth the effort. Yeah, somebody's asked a question. Female brains tend to have some special strengths like intuition, collaboration, and self-control. I beg to differ from you, Mr. Ravish. These are strengths that are there everywhere. You have heard of use and disuse theory. Since I told you, even from birth, female has to struggle a lot to survive. So because of her struggle, her strengths of intuition or would have sharpened, her senses would have sharpened. So she's able to see, it comes out of use of that part of the brain that you look at a person, you kind of and then leader needs the humility. So what I find the special strengths that women have is that humility comes automatically. Humility and that ability to get people together, the ability to patience, the ability to get to listen, that there is an ability to listen. That is a very important thing. And about the others, like self-control, it's the same with a man and a woman. There is no special strengths. But because she has run a family, because she is responsible, see, the responsibility comes very early in life. I was just yesterday, I was sitting in my balcony. I was looking out of the balcony and I was watching a young girl of in the construction workers site. There's a small construction work going on near the house, and I was watching this one young girl. She's hardly 7 or 8 years old. On one side, she was cooking. In fact, I told my daughter, I said, look at her, she's just 7 years old and she's already making the dinner for the family. On her hip, she had a little child, her brother or sister. She had balanced her little child. The child was crying. She was patiently managing the child, cooking. And, while her parents had gone out to work, I don't know what it was. There were 2 other siblings or other family members who were sitting down a little distance away, were playing. She was also going and playing a little bit with them, coming back, looking at the food, and she was managing fire. At the age of 7, 8 years, our children don't even know how to handle fire. So it comes out of the situation, it comes out of handling it, and that humility comes out of all her her situation was giving her all these things. That use and disuse theory. the more that part of the brain you use, the more it gets this thing. And for a woman, yes, to a large extent, she's sharp. She has a humility. She doesn't have that such a big ego, so that even if she's reprimanded, she'll be able to. Even if she loses, see, one more thing a leader needs to have is the ability to take failure, to ability to make a failure a stepping stone to the next success is an ability that is inborn for a woman. She doesn't give up so easily. That perseverance is another strength she has. I don't know how many. I mean, if you look at the cabinet, the parliament, you find very few women who have reached that level. So somewhere along the way, those jobs where real leadership is necessary, not many women are able to go. Not many women are able to win elections. So the election process is something not many women are able to do that. And those that come also are not given too much of opportunity to speak. So somewhere along the way, as you go up, so it is a bottom heavy, and it's like in a pyramid. You can imagine a pyramid, and that is the way women leadership has grown over the years. I don't know when it will become a square where every woman who gets into the pipeline gets to the top. When that will happen. So, is there something else you would like me to talk about?
Ma'am, we have 10 more
Most
minutes.
often they like to see women uh, um, more as painted dolls, whether it is in office, wherever it is. So there's nothing wrong in using all our strengths. Nothing wrong in using all her strengths. It's nice to look nice, but that stereotype of a woman leader needs to go, I feel, somewhere. Use your strengths, but that stereotype of a leader should go. Most of the corporates today, you find top bosses who are CEOs who are women, who have come up the very hard way, and they're able to do many things and without having to look like an eye candy. Yeah.
Ma'am, I think,
Participants, if there are any further questions, in case if you can put them into chat Q&A or chat box, please.
Ma'am, thank you very much on behalf of Bangalore branch. It was really very inspirational, ma'am, very, very inspirational. And I'm sure that all the women who have participated in today's program are geared up. Definitely will have more enthusiasm to achieve more. First of all, thank you so much for accepting our invitation and coming. I request our secretary to kindly propose vote of thanks for first session.
I must thank all of you also. Thank you, and feel free to. You can give my email ID. Feel free to.
Yes, ma'am. We will share the email ID. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Womanhood itself needs to be celebrated every day. Right to vote in India came first, then to European countries. One of the first country to give woman prime minister is India. And in leadership of women, CF changes from seeking permission to obvious leaders, just like men. Woman is a multitasker, perfectionist, and whatnot. There is a new leadership style called adaptive leadership, and which is order of the day. All these things you deliberated upon today with your experience. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Mamtha ma'am. On behalf of Bangalore branch, and then all the managing committee members and chairperson of Bangalore branch of SIRCF ICI and the participants, I wholeheartedly thank you for accepting our invitation and then speaking to members on this topic. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And though we have introduced CA Sarita Agarwal ma'am in the beginning itself in her absentia, again for the benefit of members who joined again, I just briefly would like to introduce CA Sarita Agarwal ma'am. Sarita Agarwal is a fellow chartered account, fellow member of CA Institute, and she has honors degree in finance and accounting from Calcutta University. She has spent more than 15 years in giving accounting services and bookkeeping services for more than 300 clients across US. And she is an expert in advanced Excel and QuickBooks online training. She has been doing this for last 1 decade. Sarita has automated several hundreds of man hours of operations in her company and still continuously explores how she can leverage technology to automate routine tasks so that humans can focus on things that matter. Being ever inquisitive, she enjoys exploring, learning, and training others in new business software. With this brief introduction, once again, I present before you CA Sarita Agarwal ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you.
So before Sarita ma'am takes over, I would like to say thank you very much, ma'am, for accepting the invitation. Because when we choose this topic, which is very, very important, we were thinking whom to call, and suddenly like a lot of people recommended your name. So thank you so much for coming to Bangalore branch and giving this.
Thank you. It is my pleasure to give a virtual session to anywhere outside Eastern region, and it really is great. Like I heard Mamtha ma'am for just a few minutes. I got an opportunity to hear her, and she was an excellent speaker. And what she was saying was really kind of inspiration for all of us. I hope I'll be able to meet the expectation of the attendees in this session. So basically, what I will try to do is I will try to give some practical experience, since bank audit is just we just need to start with the bank audit as soon as 31st March ends, and it needs to be completed in a little span of time. Like we are not given much of time to complete the bank audit. So automation and knowing Excel some functionalities will help us to do our work in a faster way and more accurately. We can find more of the stuffs which we try to find out in an easy way using spreadsheet. So wherever you think you want to ask me to repeat a particular step, please let me know. I'll be happy to repeat the step. I had shared some spreadsheet with a notepad and a spreadsheet with Lata ma'am. I am not sure whether all the participants have that. Divya, do you know that whether the participants have got that?
We'll be sharing it to them.
Great. So, okay. What I wanted is if they could have opened that and work with me, along with me, that would make their work easy. Like, since it is spreadsheet driven, if they try to do along with me, it makes their work easy. What do you suggest?
We'll arrange it immediately, ma'am. Just a
Sure.
couple of minutes. We'll arrange it
Sure.
immediately.
Sure. By the time Divya arranges, I'll just start with few functionalities which we can like check right now. And once they share the spreadsheet, we can try to do the same with some of the files, 1 or 2 files, which I have as an example, which we generally pull while doing the bank audit from the CMS system of the bank. And then we will try to convert it into a useful Excel information, which will help us to convert into different PDFs and PWords and other files so that we can explore information out of it. So I'll just start by sharing my screen.
Ma'am, mail will be sent to all the participants now.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll just start by then. I'll start slow, and then when all of them have that spreadsheet, we can go quick. My screen is visible, I suppose.
It's visible, ma'am.
Great.
It's visible.
So let's start, like first directly going to the text file or the different kind of files which we pull from the banking system. Let me try to give you a glimpse of few of the functionalities which is useful in either of the text files which we pull, so that we can convert them into a database format or into a table format in Excel, after which we can start with our working. So one of the function which is very helpful, which many times we do not remember, or like it's just that we do not use it, but it is very useful, is paste special. Like we all know copy paste functionality in Excel, but many times we need to paste special. That means without the formula, like there are many places wherein we have used formula and the same result needs to be copy and pasted to some other place. But if it has a formula and if we paste this data, so suppose here I have 2 tables. The first table is with serial number, name, income, and tax at the rate of 30%, which is based on the formula for column D. If I see over here, it is column D into percentage. So now since this column D is with percentage with a formula, and if I copy paste this in the next table, what will happen? Let me try to copy, and I just simply pasted it. It took the same formula for the row, which is aligned to it. So here I did not wanted the formula. Rather, what I wanted to do is I just want to paste this data over here. Because if you see the second table, I have the same name. I have, instead of income, I have the age. So tax cannot be based on the age. It can only be based on the income. So what I wanted to do is I want to copy this and I want to paste this data over here, the exact numbers without the formula. So what I need to do over here is, in that case, we need to use paste special. So the shortcut for paste special is mentioned over here. It's Alt E S V. So now It is aligned with my table. I wanted the tax rate for the names and I got it over here. So this is one thing which I wanted to start with. Very simple, pay special. This would be useful when we start exploring the text file to Excel table. Now let's go to the second thing. So here I have a table. Client name, country, city, location, and amount. I can use filter function very easily over here. I use the shortcut Control Shift L, and I have created the filter over here. Now I have an option of filtering it with multiple criterias. Here I want Park Plaza, and here I want amount number filter greater than 50,000. So I just used number filter greater than, and I got 50,000. Any amount, any location with Park Plaza and amount greater than 50,000 has been filtered over here. Now these filters is very simple. I could easily do. I could again filter it by city only for Kolkata. So I select Kolkata. It gives me again location Park Plaza, amount is greater than 50,000 only for location Kolkata. Further, if I wanted it by country, I could do that. If I want to select it by a particular client name, I could have done that, or multiple clients name as well. But how can we filter over here if I want Park Plaza and Shanti Niketan both, but my amount criteria is different? For one of them, I want greater than 70,000 for Park Plaza, and for Shanti Niketan, I want greater than 50,000. It is not possible in the simple filter which we do, because if you come over here, it asks you to enter the criteria. You can add multiple criteria over here, but then based on the amount column. It won't allow you to add criteria based on the location and the amount together in the simple filter which we use every time when we are using Excel. However, the same can be easily done by using advanced filter. Let's see how to use it. I am unfiltering the entire data. So what I need to do is, let me create my criteria, which is the first thing which we need to do. I copy the location and amount because these are the two criteria based on which I want to filter. So I copied location and amount, and I want location Park Plaza and Shanti Niketan. So I copied it from here and I pasted over here. So what was my amount criteria? I want to filter all the Park Plaza location which has amount greater than 70,000, along with all the Shanti Niketan location with the amount greater than 50,000. So these are my criteria which I want to filter. Now let's see how can we do that. So I come over here on the top in data. I'm using shortcut Alt A. I went to the data tab. Just beside filter, you have another option called advanced. And if you see, you have an icon of filter. That means this is for filter. So it is advanced filter. I click on this advanced filter. As of now, we have just done filter, but now I'm shifting to advanced filter to fulfill my requirement. I click on advanced filter. It is asking me for two options. Filter the list in the place. We can do that. We'll first do that, and then we'll go to copy to another location. So it is giving me both the things. It can filter out my data and allow me to copy the entire filtered data into a new location, or else if I want, I can filter it in the same table where I have my entire data for now. So presently I'm keeping it in the same place. Filter the list in place. Okay. My list range, since my cursor was inside the table, it selected the range, the entire range. So I'm good with the list range. So my list is my entire table. Second thing, what it is asking is criteria range. So what is my criteria? I click over here. This is my criteria which I created. Based on this criteria, I want to filter my entire list. So I selected the criteria in the second option. And if I only wanted unique record, I can select this. But now I want the entire data to be filtered with whether it is unique or whether it is duplicate. That doesn't matter to me. So I'm not selecting this. And I click on OK. See, the data got filtered. If you see over here, there's nothing else except Shanti Niketan and Park Plaza. And if you see any example, as soon as I put filter, it got my entire data. However, but if you come over here, Park Plaza, 128,700. Any example you see, you won't find anything except the criteria which we have fixed. So it filtered over here. Does it mean that my entire data is lost? The rest of the data, no. My data is all present over here. If you see, these rows has been highlighted in blue. That means there is some rows hidden in between. It has hidden the rows which is not required, which does not meet our criteria. 12, 13, 14, then 17. So my data has been filtered over here. Now let me bring the entire data again. This time we'll do the same thing, but we will copy the filtered data to the new location. So same thing, just one extra step which we need to do. I'll just show that quick. Again, I place my cursor in the list. I click on advanced. I have the list range selected because I was in the table. The criteria is this. I select it. This time I need to select copy to another location. As soon as I click on copy to another location, the last options get active, copy to. So now I come over here. I select the location where I want to copy the data and I click on OK. Immediately I got the result which I wanted. So here we have the entire table and here we have the filtered table. I hope not only in bank audit, this filter option would be helpful to you in other Excel activities wherein you have huge data and instead of filtering over here, you just want to take out some data and keep it in some other place. So should try this. Now let's move to, presently we learned pay special, we learned special filter. Now we are going to go to special. I'm sure many of you must be knowing this. However, I'll still show. There's a function in Excel called go to special, and it is very helpful in many scenarios. This is the table which we got from the bank's system. We have pulled it in this way, wherein if dealer number has all these amounts, it does not repeat the dealer number. It is just putting the dealer number once and then it is giving me various rows with all the open invoices. Same way for various dealers. Here I just have 7 dealers, but if I pull any report from the bank, it will run to thousands of rows. So how do I create a table in such a way that I can filter it out? I can create a pivot out of it. If I create a pivot out of it, it will be of no value to me because for these rows, pivot won't be able to recognize what is the dealer name for this. For them, it will be all the same, whether it is this, whether it is this, whether it is this. So I want to create a table like this, just with in a few seconds, wherein all the amounts which is related to dealer 1 has dealer 1 written over here. Anything in dealer 2 should have dealer 2 written so that it is in a database format. Excel is all about how clean and how arranged is your numbers in a table format. If you have your data arranged well in a table, it becomes very easy to extract any kind of information which you want. You can have it converted into Power Query, you can run macros, you can have pivot, you can apply any advanced formula. But if your data is not correctly arranged, if it is all haywire, it becomes very difficult for us to take out any useful information out of it. So let's see how to do that. So I come over here, I select the table. So my entire table is selected. Now I'm pressing the shortcut Control G, which opens a dialog box called Go To. And here, if you see, it says Special. So the name Go To Special. What did I press? Control G. I'll again start. I selected the table and I pressed Control and G. It opened a box, a dialog box, go to special. So I go to special. There are so many different options. Presently, what I'm trying to do is I want to select all the blank cells. So I click on blanks. I have an option called blanks. I click on blanks and I click on OK. What did it do for me? It selected all the blanks. Now I just keep my cursor wherever it is and I press is equal to and up arrow key to select the data just above it, to select the cell just above it. And if you see, it is very logical. What I want to do is in cell 6, I want the data of cell 5 should come. A5 data is required in cell A6, A7, A8 and henceforward. So what I did is I used is equal to, I selected all the blanks and I just referenced it to the row above, which data needs to come down. Now, instead of pressing enter, I will press shift enter. What I'm pressing is, sorry, not shift enter, it would be control enter, my mistake, just a minute. Yeah, is equal to up arrow key and control enter. As soon as I press control enter, if you see what it did do, it took all the blank cells and filled the data just above it. So for A6, it took data from A5, from A7, it took data from A6 and forward. So my entire row got the name exactly above it. This way, my entire data has been filled. Now remember one thing, as soon as I use is equal to at any place, that means it becomes a formula. Now, the same thing which we need to remember, which we just learned in paste special is, if I try to copy paste it somewhere else, it will not make sense because it is formula based. What I need to do is, I need to always have it with, if I copy it, I have to again paste special, use paste special. So what I did is I selected the data and I pasted it over here with the shortcut Alt ESV, which we just learned in the first slide. So again, there was two functions which we used together over here. First, we used Control G and then we tried to use paste special so that we could make it formula free. So this was again a go to special function which we will surely need in the bank audit text file, as well as we need it day in, day out. Now coming to the next one. Here what we are trying to do is, this function is text to column. Again in the data column, in the data tab, we have an option called text to column. It is very, very useful functionality of Excel. So here what we see is we have the surname and the name together. So might be what we want is we want both the name and the surname to be separated in two different columns. We don't want them together. Be it any reason, it is a format, we just want the name, we just want the surname, whatever might be the reason, but we don't want them together. So first what we need to do is, whenever you are trying to use text to column, you have to identify the common character or the common separator between the cells which you have. Each cell might be having some common separator which will help us to use text to column accurately to get the result. So here if we see, the surname and the name is separated by the separator comma. Any cell you see over here, let me make it bigger. Any cell you see over here, it has comma separating the surname and the name, which has made my work easy. So what I do is, I select the entire data. I come to data and I click on text to column. In text to column, you have two different options, delimited and fixed width. Delimited means if I know that I have some common separator which will help me to separate the things, I use delimited. But if I know that my data is arranged in such a way that it has a fixed kind of column width, by which if I just put a line, it will itself separate the entire thing well. So that time we need fixed width. Here, since I have a common separator, I'm using delimited. So I select the first option, I click on next, and since my my separator was comma, I have an option of comma over here. If I didn't have any of the option which I was looking for, I could have selected the last one and typed the character or the special like separator over here. But I don't need that. I can use comma over here. I go to next, and now my destination is, I don't want to separate it over here. I select this and I start from here. And so I have this data. I selected the cell B4 and I click on finish. What did it do? I have my original data over here, and the surname and the name got separated. Comma itself got removed because that was my separator, which it itself removed. Now, what would have happened if I would have not selected the destination? Let's see. Just a small miss, and what will happen? So I went to delimited. I click on next. Comma is already selected. Next. This time I'm not selecting the destination. By default, what does it do? It selects the destination of the same place where my data is existing from where I selected and started my process. So A4 is the destination which they have selected. Now let me click on finish. It did separate it well, but my original column is no more existing. It is now two different columns, and originally how it was, I don't have that. So if you need the original thing, always select the destination from where you want to start the text to column functionalities, whatever action it has provided us. So that was the first thing which we do. Let me press Ctrl Z. Okay. Yes. So now let's move to the next functionality. Now, here we saw text to column based on delimit. Now here what we will do is, we will work on the second functionality of text to column, which is fixed width. So here what we see is, we have some details of fixed asset, but all the information is in one single cell. So in my column A, I have details of various fixed assets, but everything in one cell for each of the asset. So here what we see is, we have account number, then we have item number, then we have item check number, and at last we have asset description. The best part is, if we scroll and we see, after every kind of header row, which is account number, item number, and so on, we see a gap over here. That means if we try to put only the last thing, asset description, which was not kind of aligned with each other, they did not have same count of characters, is only moving here and there. So the best thing for us was, we see that the first four things are well arranged. So our fixed width would become easy. So I select my data over here. I click on text to column. This time fixed width has been auto selected. So it itself give you suggestion which one is better for you. But sometimes though they give the selection, it might not be the best option for us. So we might have to use the other one. But this time if it has selected fixed width, it is the correct option which it has selected for us. Now let's click on next. It has itself drawn the line for us. If I think that any one of them is not correct, I could have easily moved out and put the this line somewhere else. But if it looks good to me, I just go with what Excel has provided me. So here it is, all the lines. Then I click on next. Again, I won't make this mistake. I want my original column to stay. So I will go to destination. I'll select my destination to start from here, so that my originality is existing in a separate column. And I click on finish. It separated all my entire thing. So I have account number, I have my item number, I have my item check, and account description, asset description. So it separated my data so well. And here I have my original data, which is something which I can always compare and see if I find any kind of mistake. So this was text to column, delimited as well as fixed width. Now let's move forward. Pivot table. I'll just show a quick pivot table. Most of us must be knowing it because life is very difficult nowadays without pivot. I have a table over here with date of joining, name, salary, division, rating, and age. I might want a grouping by division with their age range or with their salary range. So all these things, or might be I want to have some kind of date of joining range between 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and have the salary range in different date of joining. So whatever different kind of information we need, it becomes very easy if we use pivot to do the same. So I select the data and I'm using the shortcut Alt and V and then enter. Otherwise, we can go to insert and go to pivot table option. But the shortcut is Alt N V and then enter. So it gave me the option, select a table or range, whether I wanted a new worksheet or an existing worksheet. Both the options are available. Let me do it in the existing worksheet. I select the location and press OK. So my data is now in pivot table, which I can just put in various places and get the report. So let's see first. I want division in rows with salary based on division. So it gave me the sum of the salary by each division. If I want, I can change the value to average. If I want, I can change the value to max, mean, count, whatever I want. So if I want to know in each division how many numbers are over here, I can move to count. So this way, whatever we want, we can do. Now I want rating in columns, so I can have that. For different ratings, how many employees are there in each division, we got that count. So various other reports are possible. Pivot table is endless. There are so many different options. I just wanted to give you a start on pivot table, that we could convert a pivot a table into a pivot table and summarize the different information rather than going over large scroll of data. So if you see, if I just keep on scrolling, I can't find any useful information which might be needed by me. If I convert it into pivot, it becomes very easy for me to summarize the data and come to a conclusion. So that is very helpful while doing bank audit. Whenever we first convert the TXT file into the spreadsheet, a useful table, but after that useful table, unless we are able to use pivot and filter out the various kind of information we need, it becomes very tough to understand those big data sets. So that is where pivot table is useful. Just wanted to give a quick view on VLOOKUP. Now VLOOKUP is we have VLOOKUP, we have HLOOKUP. The name itself says when we are talking about VLOOKUP, we are talking about vertically looking up of information and fetching the result whatever we are looking for. So here we have a table. Here in the table we have the serial number, the employee ID, the name, the gender, and the age. Though this is a small table, might be we have a huge table with thousands of rows with various employee IDs, their name, gender, and age. But there are few employee ID wherein we have some question and we wanted to know their name from that big table. How do we do that? Obviously, you will say that I have an option of filter, but in that filter with these kind of employee IDs, it will take you some time to go in, filter it, and select these IDs from the long list. Rather, the best part is we can use VLOOKUP. Let's see the VLOOKUP formula. So whenever we want to use any formula, obviously we need to start with is equal to. Then we type in VLOOKUP, bracket opens. What does it say first? Lookup value. What is the value which we are looking for? I'm looking for this employee ID. So I select the employee ID, comma. From which table are you looking this employee ID? So this is my entire table. I select the table. So I come over here and I selected the table. One thing which we need to remember, whatever you are looking for, the lookup value should be the first column of your table. If you see over here, I did not select the serial number because if I'm looking for employee ID, the employee ID should be my first column in the big table from which I want to extract a particular result. That is why I did not select the serial number. In case you are looking for such kind of data which is in column 4, 5, 6, you can cut and bring it into the first column so that you can start searching your result. And what did I do? Since my table is fixed, it is not that I want to add more data and then find the lookup. It is a fixed table for now. That is why what I did is I used F4 and I fixed the entire table range so that when I'm copy pasting the formula in other rows, I don't need to change it again and again. So I used cell referencing and then again I put column, comma, and then it asks me column index number. That means it counts each column by numbers. So employee ID is my first column from where I started. So this is column number 1, column 2, column 3, column 4. So my result, what I'm looking for is name for this employee ID. So my result is in column 2 for my table. Though from here it seems to be column 3, but the table which I've selected is from employee ID. So in that case, this becomes my column 2. So I put 2 over here for column number 2. And then again, I put a comma. Now this time it asks me whether you want an approximate match or you want an exact match. I want an exact value. If it matches 100% to this employee ID, then only it should give me the result. So that is why I'm selecting exact match. But if there are scenarios wherein even if it approximately matches, it can provide me the information, then only I will select true. So I selected false. That is exact match. I close the bracket and I press enter. Here we go. It has given me the employee name for this employee ID. Let's see whether it is correct or not. I come over here, Hobbs Patsy, ending with 1333, ending it 1333. So now I copy this and I paste it over here. So if we see, one of them is giving me NA because this employee ID does not exist in my list. Now, I'll just give you one extra formula over here. So I'll just add one thing to over here so that instead of NA, whenever it is not finding any kind of data from my bigger table, instead of providing NA as a result, it can give me 0 or not applicable or not found, whatever we want as a result. How do we do that? With VLOOKUP, in the same formula, I'm not removing anything, I'm adding something extra, which is called if error. So from formula perspective, it could not find this data, so it has resulted in an error. So what I am doing is I'm saying if error, if there's an error while using this formula, then instead of giving that error sign with hashtag, it should give me not found. So I put this text and I press enter. So now what did it do? It did not write. It did not give me the Excel's the formula error thing hash NA. Rather, it resulted what I wanted, not found. So what it becomes easy for me. I come over here. It looks a little bit presentation wise. It looks better. If it is my big result, I can filter over here and I can find anything which says not found. So I won't have to deal with that hash error tag. So this way VLOOKUP can be used. VLOOKUP is again required when we are doing bank audit, because there are so many informations. Out of that, we are looking for some kind of particular product code, a particular serial number, or a particular interest rate, and I want to find some result. So it can be done through VLOOKUP. Now, last thing is find and replace. So let's see first this part. Here what we see is we have name and roll number. We see that all these names are starting with Mr. Dot and then Sandeep Patwari, Mrinal, and so on with their membership number. What I want to do is, instead of Mr., I want to replace it with Doctor in one go for all the 4 of them. How do I do that? Yes, very easy. Most of us knows it. I press Ctrl H. Then what I'm trying, I did not press Ctrl F since I know that I want to replace after finding it. So I directly pressed Ctrl H, which directly takes me to the tab of replace. So what I want to find is Mr. Mr. Dot. Might be I want to give a space as well. And then I come down and I want to replace it with Dr. Dot space. So what I want to find, I put it over here. What I want to replace with, I put over here, and I click on replace all. In one go, it changed all my information from Mr. to Doctor. So this was the basic find and replace which we all use. Now let me take you over here wherein we have much more complicated data altogether. So what we see over here is, we see the name, then we see something common for all of them is PWD, and then what we see is they have @ and then they have different websites address with after @. But what I want to do is, out of this, I just want to extract the first name and the last name. Let's see, how does it work? Let me copy this and paste it over here. So I again press Ctrl H, and this time, does it work for me? Like, even if I think of, I'm not finding anything unique which will help me. Should I put PWD and then replace with none? No. It solved my issue partially, but not completely. It gave me Ismail Abdul Salam, and but after that it only removed PWD, since it was a common thing from all of them, but it did not remove @ and this part. I want to remove this part as well. So first what I did is I removed PWD. Now second thing is, what I want to do is I want to remove anything @ and then there are 2 while characters which is really helpful in this find and replace. One is asterisk and one is question mark. Asterisk is used for multiple characters. Whenever we want to remove multiple characters together, each question mark is counted for 1 character or 1 alphabet, whatever is typed in. 1 question mark means 1 particular data, but it has that power of, suppose we are putting 3 question marks, it totally understands which 3 question marks we are talking about, which is common in all the data, and accordingly it removes that particular part. So let's see. I think this should solve my problem. I'm not very sure, otherwise we'll use the second option. I put @, I put asterisk, that means @ and after that whatever is there should be removed, and I click on replace all. Yes, my work is done. I did 2 steps. In the first step, what I did is I removed PWD, because that was common thing among all. And in the second part, what I did is I removed everything @ and going forward, because I just wanted to keep the name. However, I'm not sure like if everyone would be able to take it, because we have like less time and we need to do other stuffs as well. But there was another way, just in one step I could have done that. Yes, let me take this again. So I could have removed everything just in one go rather than two step. I press Ctrl H. Over here, I want to put 3 question mark because that would be for PWD. And after 3 question mark, I'm saying that 3 characters before at the rate should also be removed. This 3 question mark is for 3 characters just before at the rate. What I see the common thing over here is just before at the rate, we have 3 characters which is common for all, PWD. So I want to remove those 3 characters. So I put 3 question mark, 1 for each character. Then I put at the rate, and then I put asterisk, because after at the rate, there is no defined character. In some of them, there might be 7 characters. In some of them, there might be 10, other 12, another 5, anything. So after at the rate, I put asterisk so that any number of characters after at the rate should also be removed. And what I'm saying, remove from here till end and keep anything which is before that. So in replace with, I leave it blank and I click on replace all. Done. So in one go, I could remove any unwanted thing which I wanted. So I'm not very sure how tricky it was for you to use this find and replace, because sometimes it really becomes tricky to understand. But if you just remember that there are 2 while characters available to us, one is asterisk, another one is question mark. Asterisk is for multiple characters to be removed together. Question mark is for one single character each to be removed. If we are able to understand the use of each one of them, and if we are able to find anything common in all our data which I want to remove, and I'm able to count and then take it forward, I'm able to solve my haphazard information into a useful information which we are looking for. So these were few Excel formulas I wanted to touch on. We learned paste special, then filter with advanced filter, then go to special with blanks, and then filling it with the information, then text to column both for delimited as well as fixed width. And then we just saw the snapshot of pivot table. Then we went for VLOOKUP, and finally we ended with find and replace. So these were few formulas which I wanted to touch base before I start like further. Now we come to the raw data which we get from bank. So here I have 2 of the datas. One, see, this is the file which we have from bank. Does anyone have any questions so far? I think I'm going quite fast. I will proceed in a minute. If anyone has any question or want me to repeat any of the functionality, I can do so, and then we can move forward. I think we can move forward. Great. So let me move forward. Here we have a TXT file received from a bank, which is the loan report, general advances module, like the advances which bank gives for different products, the budget loan, vehicle loan, home loan, whatever, different kind of loans. It has given me this report. Now this report is in TXT format. So I need it in a table format so that I can understand which loan is overdue, when was it opened, for which product is this loan, whether that rate is very different for different customers for the same kind of loan, all various kind of information which I want to know. So I have to have it in Excel, otherwise those information won't be easily available to us. How do I do that? Let's see. I open a blank Excel. I can either drag and drop that over here, or I come to the TXT file. I copy the entire TXT file and I paste it over here. So when I'm pasting it, what do I see is the entire data has come in a single column, column A. But then I want it in a table format because we just saw whatever we did so far, everything was in a table format. Then only we could proceed further. So same goes for you. So this is actually, whether it is this TXT file or something else, whatever comes from bank has to be converted into a useful information which we need. So let's learn from this one. What I try to do is, first of all, what I see is this is bank header. I don't need anything over here. I select from row 1 to row 7 and I delete it. Now, here we see that we have serial number, old account number, new account number, customer code, and name and other stuffs. Now, can anyone just type in and say me which functionality first we need to use to convert it into table? Obviously, then there are some other steps wherein we need to clean the data. But what should be my first step to proceed further? Anyone? Which functionality should I start with? I can say you that functionality we have just learned few minutes back, but anyone who wants to type in and help me with which functionality should I use over here to proceed, to just start with it? So I don't think so I got any response. Let me start. What we will do is we'll use text to column. So I come over here, I go to data and I click on text to column, and this time what I'll do is I'll use fixed width. Let's see what happens. I come over here, my serial number is good. But if I come over here, what I see is old account number is getting cut. So I move this scale a little bit over here. Then again, the new account number looks good. It has given me the line perfectly well. The customer name is getting cut a bit. So I move it over here. Now moving forward, the open date of loan looks good. The LOP date looks good. The ROI looks good. And the liability column looks good. All the other lines looks good. So I click on next and I click on finish. So first thing done, but still the information is not very useful for us. However, it has given me a start. It has converted the different headers which I had into one different columns. Now let's do one thing. The second functionality which we will use is filter. I filtered the entire data. Now I come to serial number. Serial number should only have the numbers. So anything which is without the numbers, I know is not my requirement. So I delete those. I'm deleting all this. I won't delete this PR. I'll tell you the reason after we complete this step. But I delete the rest of them. I click on, I selected all those which I do not need. Above that are all numbers, my serial numbers, and I click on OK. So I can very easily delete it. Yes. Now, the question might come, you have studied this spreadsheet, you understood, and you are just telling us what to do. How do we observe the different TXT file and then decide? This is where you need to have Excel different functionality used in your day in, day out. You cannot think that when you do not use this functionality in, day out, one day when you get a file, you will just like observe it and we will be able to do. whatever functionality which you know in Excel, you should just try to observe the raw file which you have for some time, scroll it up and down and see how is it arranged and how can you, which functionality will help you to change it from one column to various columns, and then see what is the unwanted data over here, how can you have them all together, and then clean the unwanted data and have an useful information. The first step for cleaning or to having useful information is to first study the entire data. Unless we study it, unless we try to see and observe what are the same things common between each and every row or each and every data, and what are the things which is required by me compulsorily, I need that, based on that we take step by step action and then we come to the result which we are looking for. So now after this, I think that which I did, yes. Now if I come over here, what I wanted to say to you is, it's been some mismatch. Yes, I missed one step. That is where we need to be very careful. If I could have started further, but then what I realized is my customer number was not, customer name was not showing up. So what I realized is I mistakenly deleted that. So I moved back to few steps. After text to column, what I see over here is rest of my information is in one row. The serial number, the old account number, the new account number, and open date, close date, and the return on investment. But my name and the liability balance is coming in one column below it. So what I first need to do is I need to align them. To align them, what I need to do is I select the column where I want to move this and this, the customer name and the liability. What I'm doing is I'm selecting the customer name and the liability column together. I right click and I click on delete. As soon as I want to delete, it asks me for various options. So I want to move them one cell up. So I click on shift cells up and I click on OK. So what happened? I just deleted one cell, but it moved everything below it one cell up. So everything got aligned by just deleting two cells. And now I have both my customer name as well as my liability in one single row. Now what next? Now I can go in and delete the unwanted information. Again, I will have to repeat that step, which I had repeated it because I made a mistake. So I had to go back. I come over here and now I delete all the stuffs. So one mistake you make and you lose the important information, which is very useful for you. So we deleted it. Now I have everything with serial number. But as I told you, I left one thing, which is PR. Why did I leave that? This PR was related to the product number, which was being provided by them. But somehow or the other, the data is such that I could not take out that useful information when required. So now I will do some more steps to arrange it. At the end, I put the product code over here and I come over here is equal to, and I link it from the cell where I see the product code in the first row. So in the row number 2, I have the product code in cell C2. So I linked it with C2 and I press enter. So here I have a formula is equal to, which is linking to C2. Now I want to do the same thing for all the products. So what I do over here is I come over here. Now I select that code PR. That is why I left it over here. So it filters all the products for the code. And what I'll do is, since it has a formula, I can copy it and then I can paste it in rest of the table. So I pasted the code over here. Obviously, there are some extra information which has come that won't bother us. We have learned enough Excel to clean those. Let's see how do we do that. So first of all, we learned go to special some time back, which we will now apply over here. What has happened over here is by using the formula, first we linked the first product code using is equal to, then we filtered for the product code and we copy pasted the formula for rest of the rows. But that was a filtered data. So it only pasted the numbers to those filtered data. And anyhow, I did not have this product code in each cell for the rows. So there was not possible that I could get the product code in a columnar format. So to bring that into all the rows, because each row, so from row 2 to row 8 is for one particular product code. Again, from row 9 to row 29 is for another product code. So I want that product code for to be available in each row so that I can further move to pivot to take out useful information. So now, since I have the product code in first row for each of the product code change, what I will do now is I will use functionality which we learned just a few minutes back, that is Control G. I press Control G, I click on special, again the same thing, I select blanks and I click on OK. It selected all the blank, same thing is equal to one cell up and I press Control Enter. Do not forget Control Enter. If you just press Shift Enter or just Enter, the result won't come. It will just, the result will just be applicable for one cell wherein you have applied the formula. So now I have this product code for in the entire column, but I have some extra information which I do not need. Before that, I need to use paste special because it is with formula is equal to 2. So I copy this and I use the shortcut Alt E S V and press Enter. So we saw that we used text to column, then we used filter and delete data, then we used is equal to and go to special, and now we used paste special. Now next thing what we will use is find and replace. I do not want this extra information, I just want the product code. So I copy this, I select this column, I go to Control H, I have copied the extra information which I do not need, I paste it and I replace it with blank, because we don't want to put any special character over here, because I want anything after this should remain. That is why I'm not putting an and I replace it with blank. That means it will just remove this and keep the rest part. So I got the product code over here. After this, still my information is not looking like a table format. So what I do, again, I come to serial number, but this time I now no more need this PR. I select it and I can delete it. So now I've selected the information and I will delete it. Now it doesn't matter to me if I remove that product code, because I've created a table which will now give me the product code for all my rows. So my product code is now available. So I have serial number. It created an extra column with serial numbers. So I put this serial number over here. I can delete this column. Old account number. Now new account number. It is coming with whatever you do. It is coming in an way that we are not able to read the account number for each one of them. So what is the issue? I come over here. I go to format cells by pressing Control 1. I go to number and I remove the decimal. So I remove the decimal and I click on OK. As soon as I do that, the account number is now in the account number format. It is not anymore into 1.512 and so on. So that is done. Now again, here we have an issue. Before every customer name, we have a slash. I need to remove that. So again, what I do is I select this, I press Ctrl F, I put the slash and I replace all. So now my customer code name is also clean. Here I see an extra table which is all blank. So I delete this. Now coming to date, what I see is all of them not are in proper date format. Some are in date format, which I can easily understand by years, which is showing up, but rest is just in text format. That is why it has not been grouped by years itself. How do I correct it? So first I select this entire column and I again go to text to column. As of now, we learned text to column just to fix the delimited fixed width, but there is more to it. Let's see how do I change the date. So I go to delimited, I click on next. This time I don't want any of this functionality. Rather, I go to next and I have more options over here. Column data format. So column date format, I want to select the date. I change the format to the way I want, and this time I want to replace it in the same place. So I do not change the destination and I click on finish. Now everything is in proper date format. So text to column is very helpful. Many times you get this problem with date, wherein you have the date which is not in the date format, it is rather in txt format, and whatever you do, you're not able to correct it. Sometimes it also gets corrected by formatting cells by pressing Ctrl 1. And if you come over here, sometimes if you select the date format, it also gets corrected from here. But many times, if it is in txt format or there is other issues, you have to use text to column to correct it. So we do the same thing for the next column. We go to text to column, we repeat the steps. So I'm just going fast and we click on finish. This is also done. Return on investment is all good. We don't need to do anything. Liability is all good. We don't need to do anything. And product code we added. Now, if we have a separate Excel wherein we have the product code, then what we would have done is I could have brought in the product name as well by using VLOOKUP, which we learned. So I would have applied the product name by having the master list wherein we had all the product code and the product name. I could have filled in this entire table with the correct product name. Now, since your table is ready, you can now see that you can easily convert it into a pivot table, and whatever you want, you can do. So you want to check for different product code, what are the different rate of interest. We can rather than we can put it into this information won't be useful. So we can have different product code and we can have different liabilities. What is the total liability for a particular product code? Or we can have rate of interest over here. We can group it with different rate of interest and then see one particular code has what kind of rate interest. We can come over here and group it. So from 0 to 10, in every gap of 10, it should change. Yes, last one is 10. By every 10 or every 5 change in rate of interest, it should group it. So now it has grouped it, and now we can see. So 601 has no liability due. 602 has this amount in 5 to 10% and this amount in 10 to 15%. So if we want to further analyze it, we can click on it. It opens in a new tab and we can see all the detailed information to find useful information. So all the might be 10% is good for us. We are only concerned about 12.5, why the rate of interest is so high. But rather than high, we would be more concerned about low rate of interest charged for a particular loan, wherein major clients have been charged some other rate. So this way, we could have now we can find out various information whatever we want from this table. So what was the original thing? This was the thing which was not giving us any flexibility to come up to a result to find out any mishappenings, any kind of problem. But with converting it into a table format into Excel, we had enough time to analyze it and to come up with an accurate result. this was one of the option which I wanted to show you. Now, second, I will again stop for a minute to see if anyone have any questions in this. Let me proceed further. I have one more case study which I just wanted to show you. So what I have tried to do is, since this session would not be enough for you to just memorize everything and then apply it, we have tried to create steps in the sheet which I provided you with the raw data and then all the detailed step, and then by step, I have tried to change it so that you can go step by step and see how can you make useful information of the TXT file which we received from the bank. Now, this is the second case study wherein we have information in a Word, in a TXT file again. And this is from State Bank of India. It has lots of information in one report, but then the problem is everything, if I take it to spreadsheet, it is all in one single column. It has account ID, it has name of the borrower, it has last stock date, it has customer ID, it has security by tangible asset, unsecured, each and every information related to loan, the drawing power, the outstanding value, each and everything is just in one report. So how do we bring useful information about so many data? So what we do is again the same step. First step is to copy the TXT file into Excel, and it is all shown in one single column. Now, what we see is the header row, which over there in the earlier file, it was easy for us because all the header rows were not so many, and it was just few of them which was just in one row. Over here, what we see is header row itself is in multiple rows. From 1 to 6, we have the header row. So obviously, if 6 rows are used for the heading, each customer database has 6 rows with the answers to each heading. So we need to get that information accurate. How do we do that? We first need to bring all the 6 rows into one column. How do we do that? Or in one row, rather in one row. So I select, again, I'm using the formula is equal to, I select the first row, I put at the and sign, ampersand and, I select the second one. I'm just trying to join the strings. What I'm trying to do is with and, I am adding them and that means it will take the first and the second and the third and the fourth. In this way, it will take each one of them. So I am selecting with and each of the rows which has my header row. So I selected all the 6 and I press enter. So what happened, though it has become very long, but entire information is in one single row. It is still not into various columns. It is just in one single row. Now, what next? What I see is the first column, serial number, is separate. After that, we have a pipe space and then we have 1. That means this is column number 1. Then this is column number 2. This is column number 3. So to identify all the first rows of each and every individual data for each and every individual client, I want to select the first row so that I can copy, paste the formula into different rows so that each record is arranged in the same manner. I'll repeat this. What I wanted to do is that since in the first row, what I did is I tried to bring all these 6 rows here in the first row. I want to repeat this action for each and every information which we have. So what I want to do is I can't just copy paste this formula directly over here. What will happen? over here, what will happen? It will take next 6 rows and give the information, again next 6 rows and give the information, which would be of no use to me. I don't want to repeat it from year till year. I want to repeat this step only after year. I want to repeat this step over here, so that for the first customer, Pankaj Kumar, Poonam Kumari, all the information comes in one single row. So how do I identify the first row for each customer? How do I do that? I put filter over here. By looking into the data carefully, what I realized is, first of all, I need to select the entire row column, and then only I put the filter. Otherwise, filter won't be applicable to the entire result. Next, what I try to do is, I try to identify that there is a pipeline which has been used, then there's a space, and then there is one written. They have used numbers to separate each column in their txt file or in their system, though the result did not come in the spreadsheet format. So what I do is, I come over here in the filter, I put the pipeline, which is a part of your keyboard. I put a space and I press 1. And I click on OK. It has identified all the columns, all the rows rather, which has the first row of your header row. Now what I do is, I copy the formula and I paste it in the entire table. Control V. So it has pasted my information which I wanted in each one of them. Now what I'll do is, I'll copy this, my information, and I take it to new Excel. But remember, when I take it to new Excel, I just won't paste Control V. I will this time press Alt ES V, paste special, because there again I had used is equal to formula, and if I just put in Control V, it won't give me any information. So I've used paste special. So now what you see is all my result, though it is still in one column. If you see, it is all in column A, but entire information, instead of 6 rows, it has come in one row for each data, for each customer's name. It is now in one row. Now it becomes easy. It is almost the same what we did in the previous result. This is my one column with all the information. Again, I go to text to column. And I use the fixed width, because here there are so many columns, and I think I go to delimited, because each one of them is separated by, though Excel provided me to use fixed width, but this won't be possible, because there are so many information. We have name of the borrower in between, we have different kind of information, and they might not take the same length for all the data. So I use fixed width. I use delimited, and I click on next. I know my common separator for each one of them is the pipe. I use the pipeline. After, in each pipeline gap, it will create a new column. I click on next and I click on finish. Just a minute. It has taken lots of space for the first one. I need to reduce the column width. Yes. So here it is. Just in 2 steps, such huge number of data, wherein if we see in the txt file, we are not very sure how to start with it, has come in a columnar format. We might have many columns over here. There might be columns which we do not need and we want to reduce it later on or remove it completely. That is totally our call, but presently we were able to convert them all into the columnar format. We might delete many of them later on because those are not required by us, but presently we have this information. Now, step by step, there are many things which needs to be cleaned. You need to see carefully, watch each column, give it 15-20 minutes and clean each of them. Let's see. I have it done over here. So step one, we learned, we put in the formula for each first like client or the first row of your table. Then we converted it into columns by using text to column, delimited the pipe. Now, what we see is each column which came from their system, from the banking system, had a number. Column number 1, column number 2, column number 3. But now I don't need this because this will restrict me to have a useful information while I convert into pivot, because for them everything 3 is starting together, so it won't be able to give me the information which I need. Even in the amount column, even in the date column, all of them has numbers, the column number, which I don't need. So what I need to do is, for each one of them I need to select. So first of all, the first most pass is any column which we do not need, we should see them, we should delete those columns because it is of no use to us. Why should I clean the data which finally I will delete it? I don't need those columns, so I will go over it, I will delete the columns which I don't need. Second, I will come over here. So here I need to delete one, so I copy from the first part, I select it, paste it, and replace all. So first column is done. Yes, I don't think so I selected well. Copy it, Control F, Control paste, replace all. Yes, now it's done. Now one thing, as soon as I deleted it, what I realized, the account number was starting with 0, which itself got removed as soon as the starting 1 got removed. I pressed undo, and again I'll go over here. I pasted this, but this time I'll replace it with single quote. As you know, when we have 0 in the start, you have to put this single quote so that the 0 remains in the start. It does not get removed automatically. So I use the single quote and I replace all. So what happened? I was able to remove the column header, and account number is also accurate with 0. Same way I remove 2, 3, and so on. And as we discussed, for the date column, after removing it, we'll see that it is not in the date format. So we take text to column and we take the last portion and convert it into date. Once we clean it, we have this entire data. Now, once we have the entire table, what we can do is, now we are very flexible to include some calculated formula in between. I included a column which is drawing power versus limit. So what I did is, I calculated it that this was my drawing power and this is my drawing power and this is my limit. What is the percentage difference between the two? How much is my drawing power versus the limit? What is the percentage of it? I calculated it. Again, I created a column outstanding versus drawing power. I calculated the percentage for that as well. So I can understand whether my outstanding is more than the drawing power. If my drawing power was not that much, how was I allowed to draw more than my drawing power? Why is my outstanding more than the drawing power? In the same way, whatever we need. So we have created one more column called security versus limit. What is the security which the client has provided and what is the limit set for him? If the security provided based on the percentage is not enough for the limit which they have been sanctioned, we can easily filter it and come up with a result. So this way, whatever we need, we can create an extra column now, and then based on whatever questions is there in our mind, we can create a column. We can create all our questions, and based on the questions, it becomes so easy, and in only half an hour to 40 minutes, we can come up with various results, whatever we are looking for. All in various spreadsheet, whatever we have. Either we have filtered the data and taken the result into a new place, or we have used a pivot to come up with the result. That's only 2 or 3 things which we have used. Either it is a pivot, either it is or it is filtered data, or might be in some of them it might be a VLOOKUP. Or see, in this particular example 11, we took a particular case study and we filtered with the advanced filter, because in that table, if I filter and copy paste it, rather, I just used advanced filter with my criteria and the entire result was filtered over here. Same way, the various results has been provided over here. So I have provided this spreadsheet just for this reason, that you can go over each one of them and try to practice it, that how can you come up with the various results. All the various case studies which can be of some help to you with the big report which we got from the bank has been listed over here. So I know there are much more to bank audit, but I just tried to give you a glimpse, a start. How can we make best use of Excel to give a start to our bank audit, to get the information, have my team work on it, prepare the basic working, and then we start with our research work. So it helps us to divide the work and then do a teamwork to complete the audit well within time, without having to work whole night or late hours, whatever we try to do. So I hope I was able to add some information or some extra knowledge on Excel to the participants. So over to Divya and the team. By the time Divya joins, do any one of you have any question? Divya, are you there?
Yes, madam.
Yes, sir.
Members, are there any questions?
I don't see any questions yet in the chat or in question bank. In case anyone have any questions, they can be unmuted and they can ask the questions.
I don't see any questions. Just thought, okay, while thanks. That was a fantastic deliberation on the technology which can be used by chartered accountants in their day-to-day analysis of their clients' financials and data. And today, CA Sarita Agarwal ji directly went on to, did not deliberate upon as to how it can be useful and all those things, because all chartered accountants know that how data, when it is arranged in a proper manner, can be used of. And she directly was linking that to the bank audit, which we are about to start in first week of April. That was fantastic, madam. That kind of a hands-on experience would definitely help all the chartered accountants on behalf of participants and the managing committee members of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. I thank you personally.
Thank you.
Once again, I thank you for taking out your time for today's session. And since it is woman-centric program, and as Dr. Mamtha madam said, womanhood should be celebrated on a daily basis by any human being for that matter. Yes, definitely. With that note, I once again thank you and Dr. Mamtha madam for today's session. Thank you so much, madam. Thank you all the participants.
I want to thank the organizers and having me on board to give some insight. I really want to thank all the participants to take out their time and to give 3 hours for their learning. So it was a wonderful session to deliberate on Excel using bank audit using Excel. Thank you, sir, so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. And this is Manjunath M. Hallur, Secretary for Bangalore branch of SICI, signing off for the day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.